Okay. Well, by 97, uh, a race riot broke out between the blacks and Norteños. And this was one of the largest prison riots at that point. You were there?
Correct. So it was actually like 96. I had my dates incorrect, but it was around 96. There was a big riot between the Southerners and the blacks. And I mean, there's literally like 100 people on the yard going at it. I was on the yard. Me and my people, we just got out of the way because I was in between them. But it was a huge riot. Like I said, at least, 100 people involved. Lots of people got stabbed. Shots were fired. And then at that point, they locked down all the Southerners and all the blacks for like months after that.
Okay. And you actually stabbed somebody during that riot?
Well, down the road, I sliced somebody when we got into it with the whites, like a month or two later. At that point, because the Southerners and the blacks were the ones locked down, the only people going to the main yard during that time were the Northerners and the whites. So because the blacks and Southerners had friction, there was talk, or you heard whispers that, the whites might move on us. So sure enough, one time we're out in the yard, and, the whites had their particular parts on the yard. We had our particular parts on the yard. And so all of our homies were like posted up at a table, probably about 10 to 15 deep. And the whites had a table a little ways down. And I was actually walking on the track at the time doing security, because we would do security, kind of like walk around the track and like monitor the yard, see what's going on. And sure enough, I'm walking around the yard. You can see on the other side of the yard, you see a wave of whites moving to the table, and it's on. So we start running across the yard to get involved. And by that time, everyone's already going at it, right? People are getting stabbed, people are getting sliced, people are fighting. And you just try to hit and grab whoever you can. The COs are running at us to get us down. They're telling us to get the yard down. And so that's when I actually did, slash somebody and got out of the way, tossed a weapon and got out of the way. And that's what I was involved with at Pelican Bay.
Was that the first time you stabbed somebody?
No, I mean, I did other things, but like, for example, in the Corcoran shoe, there's a toilet on the yard. You can flush stuff on the toilet. You know what I mean? It's different. So, but yeah, at that particular place, that was the first time I did something there.
Were you ever stabbed yourself?
Never.
Okay. Now, at one point, a bunch of roll-ups happened with the Norteños. What exactly is that?
So that in Pelican Bay, so what happened after we got into it with the whites, they put us all on lockdown. And so now basically the whole facility is on lockdown except the others. The others are the only people that can still go to the yard. So we were on lockdown for a while, but because everybody was basically in their cells, I had a transfer that I'd put in like months before for New Folsom. And at that point, they shot me down to New Folsom. And that's where a lot of people were getting rolled up off the yard when I got to that point.
Okay, and at that point, you became a shot caller?
So when I got down to New Folsom, anybody that was coming down from like Pelican Bay, you already had like clout and reputation, like, oh, he just got here from the Bay. So I don't want to say they put you on a pedestal, but they do look at you and treat you a little bit different, because you just came from what's supposed to be like the worst place, right? And so when I got to New Folsom, we had a good group of guys on the yard. There's about 40 to 50 of us. We had our own yard. Everybody was programming. Everybody was doing their thing. But the politics were a little weird on that yard because whoever was running the yard, they would get rolled up off the yard. Like somebody was snitching on people to like, they didn't want, so there's somebody on the yard who didn't want it to be so political and so hard. People wanted to just chill and do their time. So left and right, people were getting rolled up off the yard. And so at one point, we got into a fight with the whites. So the stuff that happened in Pelican Bay kind of got carried over to New Folsom Sea Yard. And what happened there was, it was a one-on-one, but it was a pretty serious fight. And from my experience and the way I was trained, the way I was schooled down, anytime anybody gets in a fight, it's usually going to be all of us, right? So at that point, the guy who was running our yard for the northern car, he got rolled up off the yard. And so I was the one who ended up with the keys to the yard. And so at that point, when it was a one-on-one, they put us on lockdown for like a week. I inherited the keys to the yard. And at that point, I had the decision to make whether we're going to go to war with the whites or we're just going to call it a one-off. And I basically gave the word, when we come out of lockdown, we got to rush them. So I gave that call. They let out blocks like one at a time. They let out the first block. And basically, the Northerns rushed the whites. Some Bloods from Sacramento helped them because they were outnumbered. And so now this yard had a new war going on between the Northerns and the whites.
Okay, and you were the head of the Norteños
At that time.
In this whole prison, essentially.
No, and on that yard.
On that yard.
On that
multiple
yard.
yards?
C-yard. Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
So on that yard, like how many Norteños did you have under you?
About 40 to 50.
Okay, you had quite a bit of power.
Yeah.
How did it feel at that point? Because how old were you at that time?
I was about 25.
So you're like 5 years or so into it, and now you're running a yard.
Correct.